They might not be brilliant, they're certainly not earth-shattering, but when the chips are down, these 10 tips may just give you the edge and even the odds. So stay tuned. You're going to use address labels to sort out your kit. Good idea. Don't use ink. If it gets wet, it runs. Don't use a biro or a felt tip. They fade. Don't use a magic marker because when you're writing, it might bleed through to the object below. Use a pencil. It doesn't fade, it doesn't run, and you can rub it out and change the name on the label. If you've got to put liquids into a small hole, use a plastic bottle. To stop cross-contamination, keep the improvised funnel tied to the container of the liquid with a lark's head. When you're finished, use a paper towel to clean it out before you store things away. It's cool, you're sweaty, you've stopped for a rest. So put on an extra layer of clothing, fire up the stove, and while you're waiting for the water to boil, have a good warm drink out of your jack flask. When you've drunk and the water's boiled, put in some more coffee and put in the hot water. So next time you stop, you've got hot coffee ready and available in your jack flask. No matter how good your matches are, if your striker doesn't work properly, they're useless. I got this match container sometime in the last century. It's old, but it's good. It's good strong plastic. It's got a washer so it closes tightly. In the cap, there's a pad to stop the matches rattling. Underneath, there's a striking surface, but that's protected by a rubber cup-shaped thing. Alright, the rubber's old now and it doesn't hold very well, but with the use of some coloured tape with a tab on it, it's great. It's there, it keeps the striker in place, it keeps it waterproof, and it's easy to take off ready for use. This modern match case is also very good at keeping the matches dry. However, the striker on the top and the bottom are open to damage, dampness, and even water ingress into your rucksack. One solution is to wrap them in cling film, but leave a tail so you can undo it easily with gloved hands, or to wrap them in a plastic bag and hold it down with a rubber band. Once the match container's been opened, the plastic bag can protect the two strikers, as well as forming an extra protective barrier for the matches. Force the container into the old inner tube. Once it's in the middle, fold one piece over and put the other piece in. Then secure it with the elastic band. And it's secure, reusable, waterproof, and a good source of kindling. To get it out, just squeeze. If your emergency food rations are battered, squashed and generally deformed in the plastic bag, take them out and try storing them in an old chocolate drinks bottle. It's got a wide mouth so things can be put in and taken out easily. It's fairly sturdy, more sturdy than a plastic bag. It's food grade plastic, so you can even use it as a cup. If you take off the label and you so decide, you can write the contents on the jar. You've paid good money for your emergency rations. Hopefully, you'll never have to use them. But if you do, make sure they're in date. So write the expiry date outside the packet. You also need to know how to use them. So check this out. Write it down in pencil so it doesn't run or fade, and stick that on the outside of the packet too. If you think you need extra protection, use a good quality thick plastic bag. Tape it down, but leave some pull tapes on the end, so when it comes to it, your emergency rations will be there, in date, and you'll know how to use them. If you've got fabric lined containers that you can't sew, but you want to stop things dropping out, use a hook-sided piece of Velcro. This will attach to the fabric lining and it'll stop you losing the small items. You've got a survival bracelet with a compass. Is the compass any good? Well, one thing to do is to find an accurate north-south line and compare it when the bracelet's fastened up. Put it in 4 different directions and see if it still points north. Then open it up, do the same thing again. You'll find out whether you've got a real useful life-saving compass or a not very good toy. It's worth 5 minutes at home to make sure you can tell the right direction when you're outside, and it's important. Some containers are too well made and useful to be thrown out, especially if you want to store foodstuffs that come in paper bags, stuff like porridge oats, flour and sugar. Once you've taken the label off the container, the problem is getting rid of the glue. So use some Sticky Stuff brand solvent and an old Scotch-Brite pad. It's fast, it's easy, it's effective, so you save time and do a proper job, and the result is well stored, well protected, long-lasting foodstuffs. If you've got a wound that needs to be covered and a bandage or an adhesive dressing is inappropriate, but you've got to keep it clean and dry, try using micropore tape as a short-term measure. It'll keep it clean and it will reduce the amount of moisture you get from sweating. It seems to work for me, although I would not recommend it for use for more than a few minutes. Thank you for watching, commenting and hopefully subscribing. You can't prepare for every emergency, but with some preparation things can be made a little bit easier. So get out there prepared. You know it makes sense. It'll serve you well.